Part 61. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 604. In an instant, the whole place fell silent. Their pupils widened as they stared at the figure slowly emerging above the pyramid. Judging from the body shape, it should be a man. He has a slender figure, a rope seems to be floating around his wrist, and his eyes are looking down calmly, as if a god is coming. Walking in the air, with auspicious clouds surging, looking down at the human world, is that God? A gun-wielding non-staff member of the Holy See whispered. As soon as these words came out, it was like a bomb detonating in the deep sea, causing turbulent waves. Everyone was confused. God? Damn it! After experiencing the advent of a terrifying game, the resurrection of evil ghosts, and many supernatural events, they actually saw God today? The Western world is full of religious beliefs. If you hit it with a brick, 7 out of 10 people have their own religious beliefs, and these religious beliefs can be boiled down to one thing: God. God created the world, God saves the world, God loves the world, and God loves all living beings. No matter what kind of religious belief, it is ultimately inseparable from the name God. Only God can make them believe. And now, they seem to have seen God. Did God hear their prayers and come to the world? Countless non-staff members of the Holy See raised their heads and looked up at the figure above the pyramid, forgetting to be on guard. The other side. When Will saw this scene, he was also frightened. He gritted his teeth. Farki. What kind of God? How could there be a God in this world? The so-called gods are nothing more than ghosts in disguise. In such a world full of despair, the existence of God is nothing more than a cigarette that aggravates all destruction. Just like Cleopatra in the pyramid, she is also a god and ghost. What's going on? Who is that? Isn't Cleopatra a female ghost? Who is this man? Will pulled the collar of a white player and said in a low voice. We don't know either, but that man is from the Dragon Kingdom. He broke into the game when the dungeon was already open, and forcefully eliminated the gatekeepers in the trial, and wiped out slave ghosts of all sizes along the way. We finally reached the Pharaoh's palace, and we don't know what happened after that. We only know that not long ago, the game reminded us that the copy had collapsed and everyone failed the mission. The white players who entered the dungeon kicked everything out. After listening, all Gallifrey senior officials, including Will, were stunned. Break into the already opened game copy, clear the 5-star copy alone, and cause the copy to collapse. Is this a human being? With the same 2 eyes and 1 mouth, how can you be so good at riding a horse? This title of world-class boss is truly deserved. Could it be that there really is a god? You just said that he was from the Dragon Kingdom. Why did he come to our Western world? Will asked, keeping his cool. No, I don't know, but he is accompanied by 2 people from the same Dragon Kingdom. Judging from the game level, they should be yellow-skinned people who were trapped in Gallifrey. Hear this. Will's eyes flashed. According to the latest information I got, just 2 days ago, the Daxia Dragon Bird organization of the Dragon Kingdom suddenly set its sights on Gallifrey, and seemed to want to explore the situation here, but we blocked it. Based on the current situation, I have reason to suspect that Daxia Lonke has discovered something is wrong here, and this man may be reinforcements sent by Daxia Lonke. Smell it? Other senior members looked panicked. No way, we have cut off all communications and networks here, and have used supernatural powers to modify cognition and imitation. We have already made those in the Dragon Kingdom think that their family and friends are determined to settle here. This is so good. Why were you suddenly noticed? Will, if there is such a person in Daxia Lonke, how could we not know about it? If this kind of divine power had appeared once, We would have found it out long ago based on our intelligence. Everyone argued. Will interrupted, there is no Daxialanke, but what about the underworld? As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. Hell! Isn't this still fake news and has not been confirmed? Apart from the legendary underworld of Longqi, who else do you think has such an ability? You are also ghost masters. You should know that even if we humans use the ghost realm, we can only stay in the air for a moment. If we want to, people are walking through the air, and auspicious clouds are rolling in. Even ghosts and gods cannot do this without using the ghost realm package. Only the legendary immortals and gods can do it. Will had a point. The atmosphere at the scene fell into silence. From the bottom of their hearts, they do not want to believe that there are immortals and gods in the backward dragon kingdom. This matter is not something we should consider. What we should think about now is what does the other party want to do? At this time, a senior official changed the subject. The others came back to their senses and stared at the figure above the pyramid. Subsequently, the figure moved. The moment he raised his hand, the surrounding sand began to surge. Along with a terrifying rumbling sound, the ground shook. Under everyone's horrified eyes, the pyramid buried deep in the ground was being pulled up bit by bit, exposing more area. Finally, a 100-meter-high pyramid completely revealed its complete appearance at this moment. Subsequently, the pyramid lifted off little by little. He was held up by the man's hand. Walking towards Gallifrey's position. A tiny figure is walking in the world holding a 100-meter-high pyramid. This moment, heaven and earth were silent. Omega, tell me quickly, am I drunk? Damn it, I'm hallucinating. Shift, don't tell me we're going to shoot such a being. See this scene. There was an uproar in the cordoned-off jurisdiction. A large number of non-staff members of the Holy See who were armed with guns stared blankly at this miracle-like thing. They didn't even know that the guns were dropped, and they were immersed in this unparalleled power. Under such Kingtian's figure, they only felt that they were too small as dust. Hell, he's going to take our pyramid. Camp direction. Everyone understood what Shenjian meant. This suspected immortal god came from thousands of miles away and was ready to take away their ancient Egyptian cultural relics, the pyramid. Died young. If you tell me this, would you believe it? Anyone who steps on a horse can know that the opponent's goal is actually the pyramid. I also plan to pick it up without asking. Take it directly in front of people like them. What the hell is the difference between this and breaking into someone else's house and taking the safe? Damn it! This robber. Still unprincipled. Who can tell them what to do now? What should we do? This damn thief, call for reinforcements and tell the Holy See headquarters that bandits robbed the pyramid in front of us. Will's face turned red at this time and he roared. If the pyramid was snatched away in front of everyone, the Holy See would lose face. The other party was too blatant. There is no cover-up at all. In other words, the other party saw them, but others didn't care. Do whatever you want. Just highlight an unscrupulous person, just like the mafia in the old society. Well, the headquarters asked if we were drunk together. Fake, tell those people that if you don't send reinforcements, just wait until the pyramid becomes a part of the Dragon Kingdom, and all the supernatural powers covering Gallifrey will be lifted, so that they can receive the news as soon as possible. After today, it's impossible to hide everything here. Will roared ungentlemanly. He left the camp. Look up. Looking at the figure high in the sky who had entered the town of Gallifrey, his face turned green. What kind of bad luck did he have to be sent here to perform the mission? Under such overwhelming power, personal power seems weak. At this point, only weapons of mass destruction can be used to keep this man alive. As for the pyramids, they shift when they shift. Anyway, his mission is just to ensure that the pyramid remains in the hands of the Holy See. As for whether the pyramid will fall, whether it will create a crater, or how many people will die, it has nothing to do with him. Who is it? Who are you? Will muttered. There was residual shock in his eyes. The other side. The town of Gallifrey. Masonic. Rows of armed men surrounded the place. All the people from the Dragon Kingdom, including Naiu, were surrounded and escorted out. A young man with blonde hair and blue eyes walked out laughing, "I finally caught you rats. The top management of Gallifrey town is not very efficient. They let a group of ordinary people run around for so long. What if the news is exposed, manage?" He was one of the assistants who followed Will this time. Although he is not a senior member of the Holy See, his parents are. In the team supporting this time, his status is second only to Will. But he did not participate in the supernatural events. Instead, he found out about the existence of the Freemasonry and chose to kill all these yellow-skinned Dragon Kingdom people. I heard that a few of you have been selected to participate in the thriller game. That's no problem. Among the players participating in the thriller game this time, there is a ghost master who is known as the world's best assassin. Don't you? What hope is there? The blonde boy looked at Naiu and pinched her mouth with disdain. Bah, my brother and brother Shen, they will definitely come out. Naiu struggled hard. But how could she, a weak woman, break away from a ghost master? Stupid yellow-skinned man, I'm afraid he doesn't even know who the world's #1 assassin is. That's a being that even the Ghost King has a chance to assassinate. What about Brother Shen, your brother? I'm afraid he doesn't even have the chance to see Jack. No. The blonde boy looked surly and dragged Naiu into a room by his hair. However, before he could make any move, a group of armed men outside began to scream, and shout. The blonde boy frowned. Go out. It turned out to be dark. He didn't know why. Look up. The whole person fell into a sluggish state. I saw a huge shadow covering the sky over the town. Through gaze, he saw a man hanging high in the sky, holding a pyramid in his palm. His stature was so majestic that it blocked the brilliance of the sun. Now, the figure stayed in the sky above this place, motionless. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 605. Gallifrey. The bright sky dimmed. Countless people raised their heads and looked at the sky. Then, everyone's eyes were widened, almost ready to drop. Omega, am I not awake yet? Some people glanced at the scene in the sky, their pupils trembled, as if they couldn't accept it. They returned to the bedroom with dazed eyes, fell down and covered themselves. He murmured. One more nap and I'll wake up from the dream. I must be dreaming. You can wake up when you fall asleep in a dream. Actually, they are all adults and have their own judgment, but in front of them is the huge shadow hanging over the city. Even if they are adults, their legs are almost weak at the moment. They only feel that they are too small and they just want to hide under the quilt and wait for death. This kind of scene is not an exception. It is the only choice for countless people in Gallifrey. The other side. The armed men of the Holy See who were arresting and preparing to take away the Freemasons were completely frightened at this moment. Everyone looked at the sky with dull expressions. Above the 9 heavens, a figure was seen holding up a pyramid, covering the sky and shrouding the city in a dark sky. Now, this figure stopped above them. Faintly, they seemed to see through their field of vision that the figure lifting the pyramid lowered his head slightly and cast his gaze over. In an instant, an unspeakable fear swept through his body. They felt cold all over their bodies, as if they were falling into an abyss. My mentality was completely broken. What the hell was that? Fake squid. Why does Gallifrey exist like this? How do I feel? He is looking at us. No, this is definitely not true. Shut your crow mouth. Damn it, stop talking, I'm about to pee. A group of armed men were terrified. Although they are non-staff members of the Holy See and belong to the Holy See headquarters, they are a group of ordinary people. Although the protection level of the people they come into contact with is high enough, they know a lot of truth about the world. But if these truths include this being with immense power, then they would rather not know. This is so desperate. What use are they in the face of such a power that can easily lift a 100-meter-high pyramid? Can firearms cause harm to such a being? Think of this. Their faces were pale, and no matter how well trained they were, they could not hide the palpitations in their hearts at this time. The same goes for all the blonde boys who walked out of the basement. He looked horrified. He collapsed to the ground, frightened by the scene that was comparable to a miracle. And he didn't know if it was an illusion, but he always felt that the figure's eyes were falling on him. His eyes were dark, like the eyes of the god of death. He only needed to meet them once to take away his life. He was about to speak. Dark clouds billowed in the sky. The unstoppable electric light swayed in the dark clouds, the sound was huge and extremely scary. The next second, the scorching lightning burst out ferociously, and instantly a huge thunderbolt like an angry dragon struck down, as if it was about to tear the sky into two. There was a boom. Thunder falls. The armed men headed by the blonde boy evaporated into the world without even saying a word. Instead of the imaginary scene of flying flesh and blood, it exploded directly into black smoke. As the breeze blew, dozens of members of the armed squad were quietly wiped out of the world. Not even a trace was left. True death leaves no trace. This moment, the Freemasons who were escorted out all opened their mouths. Died. A group of people who were fully armed, equipped with sophisticated equipment, and even led by a ghost master, just died in front of them. What happened? Does the banished immortal who stands above the 9 heavens and is born aloof know them? Or maybe he just saw an uneven road and drew his sword to help. They looked hard. But he still couldn't see the face of that figure clearly. Even the outlines are blurry. This place has been exposed and we can't stay any longer. We must find a new base. I will leave a mark. Brother Shen and his brother will be able to find us when they come back. At this time, Na Yu walked out with messy hair and a slap mark on her face. She also saw the scene just now. She was glad that this unknown existence came one step earlier, otherwise she would have bitten her tongue and committed suicide just now, trying to splash the other person's blood. But this mysterious existence can help them once, but not the second time. Once this mysterious man leaves, their fate will only be worse if they stay here. However, the words just fell. The banished immortal above the sky made another move. Raise your palm slightly. A bright golden light covered it. In the golden light, a staircase leading to the sky appeared. Those steps are all made of golden light, dazzling, one after another, spreading down from high in the sky. Until falling in front of Na Yu and other Freemasons. Na Yu. Freemason. They were stunned as they looked at the golden staircase falling in front of them. My head suddenly went blank. Damn it! What's happening here? Is the banished immortal inviting them to ascend the golden ladder to heaven? Is this really okay? What are their identities? Walking on these steps will not insult this ladder. They swallowed their saliva and did not dare to move at all. How dare any mortal dare to set foot on this ladder to heaven? At this time, Na Yu hesitated for a moment and walked up. Seeing this, the others took courage and walked behind. Step by step, they walked towards the sky. There are auspicious clouds on both sides of the golden steps, which make it look like the foundation of an immortal. The higher they go, the more subtle they can feel overlooking the human world. Looking down at this time, The town of Gallifrey was already within their sight. The city that once blocked their way home and plunged them into pain and struggle was only that big. But the size of a palm. Soon. The Freemasonry members, including Nayu, had already seen the end of the steps and the slender, majestic figure at the end of the steps. The more I look, the more familiar they feel. I always seem to have seen it there. Brother Shen. It was Nayu who shouted hesitantly. Then everyone saw the figure at the end and nodded slowly. Moment. The atmosphere on the field solidified. Everyone's pupils shrank little by little. Admitted. This immortal figure with supernatural powers turned out to be a man who came to the Freemasonry a few days ago. His name seems to be Shenjian. This discovery was like a thunder, causing waves in their minds. I just feel like my breathing is stagnant. It's so scary. This discovery is so amazing. If someone had a bad heart, he would probably need emergency treatment by now. Xiao, come here. At this time, Na Yun's voice came from above the pyramid. Chu Qian was also waving and calling her two little sisters. Feeling dizzy, they followed the golden steps to the top of the pyramid. Fell down. Go inside the pyramid. Brother, what is going on? Brother Shen, is he a legendary immortal figure? Na Yu exclaimed after coming back from his trance. The eyes of other people also gathered over. At the beginning, it was Na Yun who chose to follow Shen Jian into the thriller game. Could it be that he realized that Shen Jian was an immortal god at that time? See this. Na Yun knew that these people were thinking wrongly, so he smiled bitterly and said, "Don't make blind guesses. Until now, I am no less shocked than you are. Then what are we doing now? What is Brother Shen doing?" Na Yu asked. What to do? Of course, go home. Na Yun touched his sister's head. There was nostalgia, relief, relaxation, and happiness in his eyes. Brother Shen has finished his work here, and he plans to return to Dragon Kingdom next. We can also take a ride home, and we no longer need to worry about staying here. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the audience had tears in their eyes. Several emotional girls, when they heard the news, had already fallen to the ground, hugged each other, and burst into tears. Even the man's eyes became red. No one will know what kind of torture and pain they suffered after coming to Gallifrey. In a foreign country with no internet, no contact with the outside world, and no way to go back, I was hunted down like a rat crossing the street, and I was in constant fear all day long. The original Freemasonry had a total of thousands of people. Most of them died under the persecution of white and black players. A few of them were safe, hiding in the dark basement. Among them, another third chose to commit suicide under such pressure. Finally, there are more than 100 people left. The belief that supports their survival is the hope in their hearts that is so slim that it can no longer be slim. And now, hope is coming. A miracle happened. They finally heard the word "go home." These are tears of joy. It is the tears of venting after sadness. Outside the pyramid, Shen Jian looked as usual. It's just that the color in his eyes is a little darker. He glanced casually at the town of Gallifrey below. Think about it. The palm was raised again. Swing down. The lingering thundercloud seemed to understand Shen Jian's thoughts. There was a thunder that roared across the world. Thunder rang, thunder suddenly appeared, and the dazzling thunder light split into 10, 50, 100, 200. With an astonishing momentum that tears the sky apart. Falling with a crash. Pyramid blockade. Inside the tent. Will did not wait for a response from the Holy See headquarters, but waited for another piece of information. What? More than 400 people died in the town of Gallifrey in an instant? Did anyone else see a bolt of lightning strike down and kill their companions in front of them? Will stood up suddenly, shocked and angry. I just felt my scalp numb for a while. 400 people were killed in an instant. No matter where it was placed, it was a supernatural event with great influence. Needless to say, it was definitely the work of the being holding the pyramid. What is the other party doing? There seems to be no special connection among these dead people. There are ghost controllers, local officials, and some horror game players. If this being is dissatisfied with the Holy See, then the attack should be on their side instead of spreading the attack. Doing so cannot shake the foundation of the Holy See here. Or, the other party didn't have any reason, he just wanted to kill someone, so he killed him casually. It doesn't matter who he killed. Silently, Will mentally added a level of risk assessment to Shenjian. What else? Sir, we discovered that some of these people were more or less involved in the persecution of people from the Dragon Kingdom. Several of my colleagues who were involved in this matter are dead. Hear this. Will was startled. He fell back into his seat, his expression gloomy and terrifying. It turned out to be so. He remembered a famous saying from long ago. It's not that I won't report it, the time has not yet come. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 606. Inside the tent. The Holy See's ghost controllers and a group of senior Gallifrey personnel who were dispatched fell silent at this time. In front of them, there were dozens of photos. The photos were taken in different locations. There are streets, buildings, basements, residences, jurisdictions. The only thing these shooting locations have in common is a black mark in the photo. That is the only mark left after a person is struck to death by lightning. The Dragon Kingdom's belated revenge. Someone muttered. His face was as gloomy as water, and there was a bit of fear in his eyes. According to investigators, these people who were hacked to death at the same time were all those who had participated in the persecution of the Longwo people, so the other party's actions seemed to be traceable. This is not a simple venting of anger, but a belated revenge from the Dragon Kingdom. No one who has participated in the persecution can escape. Think of this. Everyone became frightened. Because the reason why such a phenomenon occurs in the town of Gallifrey is also closely related to these people. Although they did not explicitly say that they wanted to kill all dissidents, they blocked the town, blocked all external communications, cut off all network signals, and did not allow people outside the Western world to get the benefits of the pyramid copy. All of this undoubtedly affected it is forcing the people of the Dragon Kingdom into a desperate situation. They were afraid that a nine heavens divine thunder would strike from above their heads and make them disappear from this world. Tyranny, this is absolutely tyranny. A senior staff member was sweating profusely, staring at the photo and gritting his teeth. A total of 481 people. Just because of his impulse, Gallifrey killed nearly 500 people at once. This can be regarded as a supernatural incident with very bad influence. Could it be that so many people, have you ever attacked anyone from the Dragon Kingdom? Why can he be so reckless about human life? If there are innocent people here, how is his behavior different from that of a vicious ghost? Hear this. Will was silent for a while. Why? With the power of someone else holding a pyramid with just one hand, walking high in the sky, and waving his hand, he can summon the divine thunder, killing more than 400 people in an instant. Under such power, they have no say. Even if you are angry, you can only hold it in. Looking in humiliation. And now? He was waiting for a response from the Holy See headquarters. Soon. A top-secret order came. Sir, the headquarters gives you the highest authority to act according to your own ideas. You have the right to use all weapons of war. The only goal is to kill this god. Secondary order, capture alive. Secondary orders, injure, collect god's blood, and the pyramid copy cannot be lost. Code name, prisoner god. Hear the command. Will's eyes sparkled. Really? He knew that there was no way he would give up this opportunity. This may be the only opportunity for the Holy See to witness divine power, experience divine power, and even capture a god. If they can kill gods, they may have the opportunity to analyze the many secrets of legends and myths. Imprisoning gods, analyzing gods, experimenting with god bodies, cloning gods. If successful, the Holy See will completely end the era of the resurgence of evil ghosts, allowing the West to enter the age of myth and the era of immortality. At that time, all the glory in the world comes from the Holy See. Who can withstand such temptation? The headquarters can't, and neither can he. Then, Will stood up and shouted, "Use satellite equipment to see where this god has gone now." Not long after, a video was transmitted. In video, above the wide river, a slender body walked swaggering high in the sky. With every step he took, auspicious clouds surged, golden light adorned him, and the momentum reached the extreme. He didn't seem to worry about being caught at all. Too high profile. At the same time, a rhombus-shaped 100-meter pyramid was being held in the palm of the opponent's hand, like a foolish old man moving a mountain. Such a scene, no matter how many times you watch it, will bring you a new shock. It makes people marvel at this unparalleled power. Where is that place? Across the sea, we arrived at Pharaoh City. Based on the opponent's movement trajectory, our technical staff speculated that this god seemed to intend to lift the pyramid across half of the continent and return to the Dragon Kingdom. See this. The shock in Will's eyes became more and more obvious. This god is too arrogant. He actually planned to return to the Dragon Kingdom in this way. He could almost imagine how much turmoil it would cause when an enemy god brought the pyramid artifacts of their Holy See back to their home country, and they were unable to stop it. This will directly impact the status of the Holy See. Let the minds of high-level officials in Western countries become active. The final impact is immeasurable. He must be stopped. Think about it this way. Will immediately recalled the armed forces of Pharaoh City. Pharaoh City is one of the 12 main cities under the jurisdiction of the Holy See. It reserves a large number of war weapons and has technological power that can be regarded as the latest batch. It can be said, the armed forces of this main city are completely top-notch in the world. Notify the senior personnel of Pharaoh City to dispatch armed helicopters and fighter jets, loaded with the latest batch of technological weapons, and all special weapons from other main cities to support Pharaoh City. Will gave the order. In this case, it will be considered as an intention to launch a war, and such large-scale armed preparations may not be hidden from the sight of Western countries and the attention of the Dragon Kingdom. Will interrupted, "This is war. The first war between man and God. The other side. Rivers and seas. The broad river is rolling, winding and endless, like a huge python crawling on the wilderness. And at this time, above the river, Shenjian lifted the pyramid and arrived here. Na Yun's voice came next, we should be reaching Fihi here. According to the satellite map, if we want to return to Dragon Kingdom, we have to cross at least half of the continent." His tone was full of novelty. So does everyone else. They have taken planes, subways, and ships, but they never thought that one day they would be able to take the pyramid home. Saying this is a piece of news that dominates the rankings. At this time, Chu Qian said in a hesitant tone, "I did some background work before traveling here. After crossing the Fei River, it seems that I have arrived at Pharaoh City. That is the main city, which is equivalent to a super first-tier city in our Dragon Kingdom. The Holy See is really, will anyone be allowed to carry their pyramid artifacts back?" Na Yun. Everyone. They were silent for a while. In fact, they didn't know why Shenjian was carrying the pyramid cultural relics of another country back. It was inedible, and the copy seemed to have been destroyed, making it impossible to play the next round of the game. It can be said, completely useless. There is no benefit at all except taking up space. On the contrary, there are countless disadvantages. The most important thing is to be eye-catching. Who would hold a 100-meter high pyramid and walk high in the sky without attracting attention? Consider yourself a fool. They could already imagine what kind of panic and horror Shenjian would cause when he passed by Pharaoh City. It will plunge Western countries into such deep self-doubt that they will be unable to extricate themselves. No doubt. This is a miraculous manifestation. It is telling the world that there are gods in this world. After today, the world will undergo tremendous changes. This is the only thing they have never doubted. Although Shenjian heard these things, he didn't care at all. There was even a bit of a weird smile in his eyes. If others don't know his purpose, how can he himself not know it? Carrying the pyramid and attracting the attention of the Holy See was one of his purposes. Today's underworld does not have a big enough appetite to swallow up the Western world. Because of this, he must let the Western countries know that there are gods in the East. If he dares to start a war, he must carefully consider whether he can withstand the wrath of a god. And now, he is making such preparations. It doesn't matter if the Holy See is scared. He will pass by a city and write XXX is here for a visit sign on the city's highest authority. At the same time, Philo City. Jingle bell 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 bell. Sirens sounded throughout the city. The piercing airdrop alarm bell sounded in all directions. This moment, the whole city was boiling. Everyone looked in disbelief and felt shocked. What age is it, yet the airdrop alarm bell is still ringing? This makes them dream back to the 1980s and 1990s. Back to the time when I was walking on the road for no reason and was blown to pieces by a bomb falling from the sky. What happened? We are already in modern society, how can anyone still dare to risk such taboos and launch terrorist attacks? Hell, what are radar satellites for? Didn't they intercept them in advance? Crazy, crazy, is this going to trigger a war? Countless people raised their heads. There was a lot of discussion. In an instant, one of the huge major cities in the West was like boiling water. Both ordinary people and armed personnel immediately made preparations and entered a state of emergency, either looking for the nearest air raid shelter or subway station to take refuge, or hurriedly following orders from their superiors. Rush to the urban area where the alarm is sounded. For a while, dark clouds enveloped the entire city. It made everyone feel depressed, wondering what happened, which actually caused the officials of Pharaoh City to issue such an alarm. They can only speculate and stay in a safe place uneasily, waiting quietly and paying attention to everything. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 607. Jingle bell 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 bell. At this time, one of the noisy main urban areas in the West, Pharaoh City, officially entered a state of emergency. Countless people were fearful, restless, and waiting anxiously. Within the urban area, people who have not yet evacuated in time can see many official personnel with cold temperaments running towards the direction of the sirens. These people have strange shapes, including a young man with a corpse-spotted ghost hand exposed, and a middle-aged man exuding a rotten atmosphere. There are young people, and there is also a strange old man with a stooped back and a vaguely human face behind him. These people came out of nowhere. People from all directions rushed to the northern defense line. A word popped into the minds of some knowledgeable wealthy businessmen: Ghost Master. Is it possible that the alarm in Pharaoh City this time is because there is a wave of ghosts coming? Otherwise, how could we mobilize all the strength of a main city? This is a huge supernatural event. The wealthy businessman was thinking so. Boom boom boom. At the same time, the roar of aircraft wings and jets also resounded in the sky. 1++ armed helicopters and jet fighter jets flew across the sky above the city, forming a fierce battle formation and flying straight towards the North City. And above the defense line of Baikan district, a large number of armed personnel quickly gathered as if they were facing a powerful enemy. Armored tanks, rocket launchers, anti-aircraft guns, heavy machine guns and other heavy firepower were ready. Not long after, the huge city of Pharaoh completed a perfect defense line operation. At this time, a middle-aged man came to the scene and said, "Hey man, what the hell happened?" His face was deathly pale, as if he had the skin of a ghost, and he was a typical Nordic. And his identity is the #1 ghost controller in Pharaoh City. Like Daxialanke in the Dragon Kingdom, the Holy See also adopts the management method of one ghost and one person. Yugi refers to the ghost controller, who is responsible for supervising all supernatural events in a city and supervising all ghost controllers in that place. Lucas is the person in charge of Pharaoh City. In the thriller game, a level 59 player is only one level away from being able to cross the boundary of a 4-star player and become a rare 5-star player. His strength cannot be underestimated. But at this moment, Lucas looked confused. What kind of outrageous intelligence did Philo City get that actually made the top commander issue an order for the entire city to be on alert and everyone to be prepared? Even if the Ghost King comes, there is no need to make such a fuss. He looked at an elderly gentleman on the city wall who looked to be in his 50s or 60s. That was Antony, the supreme commander of the city of Pharaoh. The part that manages people. He has the highest jurisdiction in a city, and he and Lucas rule Pharaoh City together. "Lucas, we're in trouble." Anthony handed over a piece of secret code. "A long time." Lucas turned pale and looked shocked. "Hell, how is this possible? This is not a joke. A god holding a pyramid is about to walk through this place." "Will, are you sure you didn't drink any fake wine and go crazy? How can there be gods in this world? Ghosts and gods are just the same." "I also hope it's false, but looking at it now, it's all true." Anthony grabbed the telescope and looked into the distance. "Then what is our mission?" "Attack this god, strike him down, wound him, imprison him." "Farki!" Lucas cursed. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't want to believe that the remote dragon country had an immortal god. This so-called god was most likely a ghost or god. But even ghosts and gods cannot be solved by humans at this stage. As a level 59 player, he has a very thorough understanding of his own supernatural powers, and he can better understand the difference between the Ghost King and the ghosts and gods. He can confront an ordinary Ghost King head-on and escape safely, but once this terrifying level rises to the Abyss level, unless he has the ability to escape, he will die. An Abyss level Ghost King is like this, not to mention the unsolvable level above the Abyss level, which is the top Ghost King. A ghost of this level is already at the top of the pyramid in the horror world, and one ghost can wipe out an entire province. And ghosts and gods are especially above the top Ghost Kings. It is a legendary existence. It was hard for him to imagine that human power could really pose a threat to a ghost and god. "Man, you are thinking too much. It is indeed not a ghost, but a human being, or a higher level god than a human being. But even so, gods are still flesh and blood. Weapons are ineffective against ghosts, but they are effective against gods." "Wonderful effect," Anthony said confidently. "Let the other person not be anxious. For this operation, we dispatched the latest armed helicopters and fighter jets, and also carried the orbital electromagnetic gun newly developed by the laboratory. One shot is as powerful as an intercontinental missile. I don't believe that a man with flesh and blood god can withstand fire powerful enough to plow the surface of the earth several times." "Hear this." Lucas was lost in thought. If they were made of flesh and blood and could ignore the damage caused by technological weapons like ghosts, then they might actually be able to inflict fatal injuries on an immortal god. Do not forget, Pharaoh City is one of the 12 main cities of the Holy See, with a large amount of ammunition and arms stored underground. Coupled with the help from the headquarters and surrounding cities, the firepower it possesses cannot be exhausted even if it lasts 3 days and 3 nights. Although God is God, he is not omniscient and omnipotent. Under continuous firepower, even gods will make mistakes. Not to mention that their group of ghost masters are blessed with various supernatural abilities. If they can have even a little impact on the gods, it is enough to affect the outcome of a war. Can't say. They can really capture a god alive. Think of this. Lucas's pupils shrank and his breathing began to become rapid. If successful, they will go down in history. Just thinking about it. The person in charge of the radar detection shouted urgently in the communicator, "Here we come, the radar has detected a yin-chi fluctuation that exceeds the standard. It is extremely huge, and it is coming at a very fast speed. Send fighter jets to intercept him." He can only move one hand, and his movements are not very flexible. Keep at a safe distance, fire directly, and empty the ammunition. Anthony stood on the city wall, looked into the distance, and yelled. The words fell. Far in the sky, a pyramid stood up out of thin air, lifted up by a tiny figure, and stood firmly on the palm of his hand. Then, the figure stepped forward with one step, and the distance of 1,000 meters suddenly shrank to 1 meter. Like teleporting, from a very far distance, he suddenly floated to a place within 1,000 meters of Pharaoh City. Shrink to an inch? This moment, Lucas and Anthony's eyes widened at the same time. There is no trace of using the ghost realm, and one step is taken to span 1,000 meters. This is undoubtedly what the Dragon Kingdom calls shrinking the ground into an inch. It was this 1 kilometer span that made the god holding the pyramid suddenly appear in public view. Fire, fire quickly! Anthony growled. At this time, the pilots in the armed helicopters and fighter jets finally reacted. Seeing Shen Jian who had entered the range, they tilted their firepower without hesitation. From the helicopters carrying orbital electromagnetic guns, blue beams of light suddenly shot out, hitting Shen Jian directly. Just for a moment. The tilted ammunition reaches several centimeters. The expensive orbital electromagnetic gun is tilted as if it costs nothing. Every time it fires, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. If it fires 3 rounds in a short period of time, the electromagnetic gun will be scrapped directly. The loss was in the millions of dollars. It can be said that in just one attack, Pharaoh City killed tens of millions. And the effect is equally astonishing. Astonishing big explosions continued to roar high in the sky, echoing throughout the city. The billowing smoke dyed half of the sky. But the attack still didn't stop. The fighters' ammunition and missiles were still tilting, like a fiery snake. A large number of shell casings fell down like a rain of bullets. Rather than fighting a war, this is clearly a fight for money. Is it effective? Below the city, all kinds of heavy firepower have been aimed at him, and as soon as Shen Jian falls down, there will be another wave of fierce firepower coverage. Watch this scene. Anthony clenched his fists and looked nervous. However, Lucas's face didn't look very good. He couldn't see Shen Jian's current situation within the attack range, but he could see the pyramid that was completely covered by thick smoke, but a corner of it was still exposed. The pyramid showed no signs of shaking or tilting at all. This shows that the god is probably fine. That's what I thought. In thick smoke, a brilliant golden thunder tore through all obstacles. Like a spider web, it spreads in all directions. Where the golden thunder swept across, all the armed helicopters and fighter jets along the way exploded violently, falling one after another. The smoke cleared. Shen Jian's figure slowly emerged. He still maintained the same movements as before being attacked, holding up the pyramid with one hand and watching everything with an indifferent expression. The other hand was slightly raised, with its fingers spread out. Brilliant golden thunder wrapped around his palm and lingered around him. This moment. City direction. Everyone was confused. None, invalid. Apparently. This answer surprised everyone. They felt that a god would not be easily captured, but they did not think that a god could remain unscathed under such a large firepower coverage. But in fact, God is fine. Even with one hand holding the pyramid, it still showed unimaginable power. Just by raising his hand, he destroyed more than a dozen armed helicopters and fighter jets in an instant. This is unbelievable. The next second, Shen Jian glanced at the defense line below. The color of his eyes is as usual. The voice of Zhu Yu echoed. Destroy it? Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yu Buletin Chi Gua. Chapter 608. This moment. Everyone's expressions became horrified. No problem. It turned out to be fine. Under such a saturation-like covering blow that was enough to plow the surface of the Earth, and under the repeated bombings of orbital electromagnetic guns and fighter jets equipped with the latest technological weapons, the god was actually unscathed. He didn't even have the ability to let the opponent use his two hands. What incredible power this is! Gently raising his hand, Golden Thunder followed, destroying all the armed helicopters with lightning speed. The opponent's characteristic of not being afraid of hot weapons made them feel chilled. Fierce ghosts are not afraid of hot weapons, that's the rule. But at least, thermal weapons such as bullets and missiles can hit ghosts, but they have no effect. However, the bullet hitting the person high in the sky seemed to have no effect at all, as if it was not even qualified to touch. This truth was unacceptable to everyone present. The other side. After getting rid of these obstructive means of transportation, Shen Jian stepped forward again. Appeared above the city of Pharaoh. Huge shadows covered the sky, darkening the sky. See this scene. Anthony was terrified. Fire, keep firing, use all weapons of war to shoot him down. No one can stop until I tell him to stop. He yelled. Issue the order immediately. Order the armed men on the defense line to use all weapons. As long as Shen Jian can be shot down, even slightly injured, even if only a drop of blood is left, it is valuable to him. On the one hand, he is the top commander of Pharaoh City, and it is his task to capture Shen Jian alive. If he cannot complete the task, his impression at the Holy See headquarters will be very bad. There will be no chance to take charge of a main city in the future. On the other hand, Shen Jian's behavior was too rampant. He not only stole their historical relics, but also left in a swagger, and even planned to walk over the top of Pharaoh City. No one can bear it. At this time, Anthony's idea is very simple. Hold Shen Jian back. Let the headquarters think of a solution. If a dozen armed helicopters and fighter jets cannot break through the defenses, then mobilize 100 or 200, and use all intercontinental missiles, neutron bombs, and cloudburst bombs. He didn't believe that a god who could only wake up after the ghosts resurrected and the terrifying game came, was really so powerful that he couldn't be matched. If this is the case, then there should be no supernatural events happening in the Dragon Kingdom. Therefore, he believed that the firepower was not enough. As long as the firepower continues to be increased, even a god will show his weakness under the attack of saturated firepower. To this end, no matter how much money you burn, it's still worth it. Hear this. A group of armed men immediately pointed their guns at Shen Jian. The calibers of heavy tanks, rocket launchers, anti-aircraft guns, and heavy machine guns were all tilted towards Shen Jian. To this, Shen Jian looked as usual. A casual glance. The sound of Juyu echoed throughout the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Destroy it. Lefa. The words fell. The wind was raging and the clouds were surging like the sky was falling. And between the gaps in the clouds, thunder and lightning roared in the sky, and the thunder and lightning reached the sky and the earth, swaying and surging, and the sky exploded, intertwining into a thunder purgatory full of destruction. This moment. Time seemed to be frozen into a moment, and a terrifying scene like the coming of the doomsday came into everyone's eyes. Countless people in the entire city of Pharaoh who had not yet hid in safe areas looked at this world-changing vision in horror. I just felt like the sky was falling. This is more than just the end of the world, this is simply a moving natural disaster, the ultimate destruction launched to destroy mankind. Even though they were half a city apart and dozens of kilometers away, their hairs still stood on end. They could feel the flashing electric particles in the air more and more. Static electricity would be generated with just a little friction. As time passed, the ground also shook, stones began to rise out of thin air, and tall buildings began to shake. Such a scene also happened in Baikan district, which was closest to the battlefield, and their feelings were even more profound. Anthony and Lucas watched helplessly as their hair stood on end. This was a reaction that only occurred when they were in a strong electromagnetic field. Looking at the thunder purgatory above their heads, the two people's faces were extremely pale, their mouths were wide open, but they seemed to be choked by fate, unable to say a word. Divine power. How majestic this is. Zeus, the legendary lord of the gods, has the power of thunder and lightning, and possesses the power of the unparalleled god of thunder. Come to think of it, it is similar to this. At this moment, this thought echoed in their minds. How can a mortal body kill gods? Only God can deal with God. Wait, this noble God, we can talk. Anthony tried to talk. Zunshan, we have seen your divine power, and the Holy See is not willing to be your enemy. However, this pyramid is of no use to Zunshan. Perhaps, we can sit down and talk. If you have any ideas, we, the Holy See, can also be satisfied. Speaking of which, he suddenly remembered the information Will said. This god is from the Dragon Kingdom and is familiar with the Dragon Kingdom people. He also killed hundreds of people in the town of Gallifrey for a group of mortals. Think of this. Anthony continued, Zunshan, how much did the people of the Dragon Kingdom spend to invite you here? Our Holy See can pay 10 times. Compared with the resources possessed by the Holy See, the great Xiaolonke of the Dragon Kingdom is completely uncompetitive. If you Zunshan, if you can come to us, the speed of recovery can be faster. Lucas looked at his buddy with wide eyes. That's awesome. Under such circumstances, you so damn want to instigate rebellion. Can this be done? Hear this. Shen Jian's expression did not change at all. Either they are disdainful, or they think that the other person is not qualified to talk to a god. See this. The two knew they had failed. Will, avenge me. Anthony roared into the communicator. The words fell. Shen Jian slowly said the last 2 words on his lips. Tianchu. Lefa Tianchu. Among all his thunder methods, Tianchu Lei is not the most powerful divine thunder on a single target, but it is the one with the largest strike range. It can create large thunderstorms out of thin air, raining down thousands of thunderbolts in an instant. At first, in the copy of Yanjai Kingdom, he relied on Tianchu Lei to defeat King Huai's army with 50,000 elite ghost soldiers in a short time. It can be imagined that its coverage is wide. Now, this is the second time he has used it. In fact, he didn't need to use such a large thunderstorm at all. He only needed to randomly chop ordinary mines among these tanks to completely defeat the defense line of Pharaoh City. But he said that his purpose this time was to establish his authority and show his divine power. He also planned to tell the Holy See and the Western countries that there are gods in the East. This move can greatly delay the onset of war. Let the underworld continue to accumulate strength and wait for the day to annex the Western world. Instead of recovering a lifeless creature, the land is filled with the ruins of evil ghosts. This will greatly slow down the speed of the underworld, and the gain outweighs the loss. Then, Shen Jian didn't hesitate at all. Thousands of thunders descended. Moment. The wind roared and the thunder roared. More than a dozen, hundreds of dazzling, violent, and terrifying thunderbolts full of destruction flashed suddenly, and within a tenth of a second, they all blasted towards the city of Pharaoh in a destructive manner that was about to tear the sky into pieces. Just a moment. Everything within the defense line was reduced to dust. Whether it was an armored tank that could defend against rockets or a thick city wall, they all melted like tofu dregs at the moment when thousands of electric lights fell. Shen Jian looked at it. No ripples. His movements did not stop. The thunderstorm clouds were still roaring. Indiscriminate bombing in the city of Pharaoh. The sound of explosions was endless. It made the people hiding in the air raid shelter tremble. Their faces were full of horror. What is happening outside? What is going on with these continuous explosions? It looked like there were hundreds of fighter jets dropping bombs on the city, with a posture that they would not stop until the place was completely destroyed. They're going crazy. How ferocious a terrorist organization must be to organize such a shocking explosion. This is unbelievable. What about Pharaoh city officials? Where did these people die? Why are the enemies still unable to intercept the enemy's attack even though they have begun bombing the main city? Are they eating dry food? Besides, this is the satellite era. Which country does not have its own satellite communications? But why, after 10 minutes of bombing, there is still no support coming? They were terrified. We can only pray that the attack will stop as soon as possible. Soon. The attacks stopped. There was no movement for a long time. Someone dared to go out and check. But he collapsed to the ground, unable to speak for a long time. Seeing that those who had gone out were fine, more and more people from Pharaoh City came out of the air raid shelters, wanting to know what happened. What came into view was the Baikan district that had turned into ruins. The house collapsed, smoke billowed everywhere, and it became a ruin. They were stunned. He froze in place. Baikan district is where wealthy people live, and officials are also stationed here. Not only is the security there excellent, but many places are top secret and are restricted areas for civilians in Pharaoh City. Even gangsters and mafiosi dare not go to that place to rob. Because there are heavily armed soldiers guarding it at all times. But now, Baikan district was wiped out. It became a ruin. Totally live up to the prosperity of the past. On the contrary, other places remain intact. Everyone is silent. They could not imagine what kind of terrorist organization it would be to crush the main city under the jurisdiction of the Holy See. At this time, a voice sounded. It's not a terrorist organization, it's a person, he destroyed everything. A white man muttered. Touching the cross on his neck, he felt a lingering fear. Many people are confused. The white man immediately told what he saw. And he took the video. I took a photo of the figure of the devil holding the pyramid with his left hand, walking leisurely high in the sky, and waving his right hand to lower thousands of divine thunders. Everyone watched. My heart couldn't calm down for a long time. What is that? The legendary Lord of the Gods. But shouldn't God protect them? Why would they destroy their home? What did they do wrong? This question is destined to have no answer. This day is destined to be a sleepless night. After today, the news of the arrival of the gods will spread throughout the Western continent. This world is officially revealed and there is proof of the existence of God. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 609. The Other Side. The moment the main urban area of Pharaoh City was covered, Will from the small town of Gallifrey had already received real-time news. Hearing the last roar of his old friend Anthony, he couldn't help but slumped in his position. His expression was dull and his pupils were shaking. It's over. All is lost. With the current speed of support from the Holy See, unless they build another defense line near the border, there will be no chance of organizing another decent attack. However, with the speed of that god, how much armed force can they gather in a short time? Hundreds of fighter jets are already the limit. But what is the use of such armed forces? Others just raised their hands, and more than a dozen fighter jets were destroyed without even reacting. Let alone injuring the opponent, they couldn't even break through the defense. Anthony may feel that this is not enough firepower coverage. But from God's perspective, Will knew that this had nothing to do with firepower, but that the performance of the fighter jets was too weak, and the missiles loaded on the fighter jets were not powerful enough to tear apart God's defense. In this case, it makes no difference whether it is a dozen or hundreds. Perhaps they have to use large-yield nuclear bombs to break through God's defense. Think of this. Will quickly dismiss the idea. No one knows whether a nuclear bomb is useful against a god, but if a nuclear bomb falls on the territory under their jurisdiction, the disaster will be devastating. Too big for him to bear. We failed. A long time. With a bitter look on his face, Will admitted his failure to the communicator. He made a summary of the information he learned from satellite maps. This god of the Dragon Kingdom is very powerful. He has overcome the weakness in the initial recovery period and has regained the power of a god. Walking through the air, holding up a pyramid with one hand, paving the way with golden light, inviting people to ascend to the sky, shrinking the ground to an inch, releasing golden thunder by raising a hand, destroying more than a dozen fighter jets. It is fast and powerful. And the ultimate destructive power released at the end, a large thunderstorm, which can cover a major city. Thousands of divine thunder can erupt in an instant. No material in the world can withstand this high-voltage lightning attack. Also, God only destroyed the deserted North City district and the enemies on the defense line. His existence should be regarded as chaotic kindness to humans. If we hadn't taken action first, he might not have done such a thing. Inside the communicator, there was no response for a long time. It seemed like they were discussing something. We know it, but we have to correct you on one thing. It was he who attacked our Holy See first, and we responded passively. Moreover, what he did and every move he made was the ultimate harm to the Holy See. Evil. In this world, there should not be gods that are higher than the rule of the Holy See, nor should there be false gods that can threaten the Holy See. Come back. The war against the East is suspended. We need to conquer another thing at the moment. Will was stunned. What's up? To study the incident of angels and ghosts descending on Ivy City in the Dragon Kingdom, the Vatican has already secretly conducted research on the research information on this fallen angel organization. There are gods in the East, and naturally there are also gods in the West. Oh, he can use thunder and lightning. We in the West can also have Zeus, the Lord of the gods, who controls the power of thunder, and Apollo, the sun god, who controls the power of the sun, and other major gods. His ability has been exposed, and we, while we are still in the dark, let that proud god be proud for a while longer. At that time, the Western gods will come, tear open his divine body, and drink his divine blood. Destroy his divine right. A time for secret deliberations by the Holy See. The news spread like wildfire. The news that a main city of the Western Holy See was attacked and one-third of the city was artificially destroyed quickly spread throughout the Western countries. It caused a huge uproar. A large number of satellites cast their sights in the direction of Pharaoh City without any moral ethics. Some of it also includes Daxia Lonke from the Dragon Kingdom. Dragon Kingdom Daxia Dragon Bird Headquarters. A real-time satellite video was simultaneously projected. On the screen, a majestic figure holding up a pyramid, with thousands of thunderstorm clouds surging above his head. He walked in the thunder purgatory, bathed in thunder light, like a thunder god from the mythical age, expressing his divine power to the fullest. A first-tier city comparable to a demon city was mostly destroyed and turned into a city in ruins. Such power shocked everyone. Pharaoh City is at the forefront of technology in terms of armed forces. Except for a few first-tier cities in Dragon Kingdom, the rest of the cities are basically inferior. However, such a huge city was defeated so quickly, it could even be said that it had no power to resist. No matter where you are hiding, when a divine thunder falls, it will completely dissipate between the heaven and the earth and turn into powder. Finished reading. The senior executives in the conference room could not calm down for a long time. They put themselves in his shoes. If this god appeared in their city, could they intercept it? The answer is no. Not only can't they do it, they don't even have the ability to resist. Fortunately, this is God on our side. The atmosphere is depressing. A voice of relief sounded. The one who spoke out was Qian Quan, the commander of Qingxi. Relying on his deep relationship with the underworld, he successfully became a senior member of the headquarters and ranked as one of the top commanders. Hear this. The heavy atmosphere suddenly dissipated. Yes. Fortunately, it is their eastern god. And Daxia Lonke also established a good relationship with this god. Everyone guessed that this god who showed miracles was the first god to resurrect in the underworld, the lord of the fifth palace of Yama in the 10 palaces, King Yama. And the other party has another identity, the person in charge of Qing City. Speaking of which, who among you knows what he wants to do by bringing the pyramid back? If it is brought back to Qingxi, wouldn't the Western Vatican soon know that the legend of the Dragon Kingdom's underworld is true? Someone asked. Everyone was silent. Because they really can't figure it out. The pyramid does have a certain value, but in this era of mysterious arrivals and the resurrection of evil spirits, the value of even cultural relics has dropped by several levels. There seems to be no use in bringing it back except exposing yourself. Certainly. If it can really be brought back to Qingxi, as a gimmick, it can indeed attract countless people to Qingxi to visit cultural relics. Only. What use is this to the underworld? Hey, I think you guys may be stuck in a thinking alley. When we judge something, we can't just look at the purpose. Especially for the Lord of Hell who has recovered to a very high stage and is suspected to have recovered. He is the only one in this world. He probably did things on a whim. Qian Quan smiled bitterly. He recalled his reaction when he had a phone call with Shen Jian. He suspected that Shen Jian's suggestion of carrying back the pyramid to protect his research was just a whim. That is to say, he did this just because he wanted to, not because he had any purpose. Hear this. The corners of the mouths of the senior executives twitched. This reason is so powerful. Indeed, for a god who is already almost invincible, doing something does not necessarily have a purpose. Perhaps, he just thought of it and then did it. Even if this matter needs to cross half of the continent, even if this matter will make him confront the Holy See, the strongest ghost controller organization in the world, he still doesn't care. Thinking. A staff member reported, a large object has been detected that is moving quickly and has crossed our border blockade. He is back. Qingxi. When Shen Jian returns here. This directly triggered a new round of panic. Shockingly. In the eyes of the people of Qing City, the sky became visibly darker. That was a pyramid flying over. Look carefully again. Under the pyramid, there is a slender figure holding the building that is 100 meters high and dozens of stories high with one hand, and is moving quickly towards the center of the city. This scene. Everyone was shocked. They were all confused. I just feel unbelievable. Is that a pyramid? Isn't this a wonder of cultural relics that only existed in ancient Egypt and the American continent? Why does it appear here? Besides that figure holding up the pyramid, you've gone too far. You are the same human being, but you can carry a building with one hand. Can you still walk like flying? Grass. Evolve secretly without taking them with you, right? Many people rushed to catch up with that figure, wondering what exactly happened. In ancient times, it would be like foolish old man moving mountains. It's just that it's not the mountains that are moved, but the pyramids. They were curious, where did this pyramid come from? You can't just dig up someone else's and bring it back to yourself, right? If that's the case, it's really sad, gan, and hard, sick, beautiful, and crazy, beautiful. Soon. Shenjian stopped. Some are in trouble. He took away the pyramid just to give the Holy See a reason to take action against him, but he really didn't think clearly about how to deal with the pyramid. But he had brought the belt back, so he couldn't just lose it. Think about it. Shenjian came to Qingyu Mountain. This is the border between Qingxi and Linhai City. There is a Qingyu Mountain. There is a mountain god in the mountain whom he consecrated. Throwing the pyramid here is just right. Mountain god, come out. Shenjian said. The mountain god of Qingyu Mountain emerged from the mountains. He lowered his head and said respectfully, "Sir, what's the matter?" Before he could finish speaking, he noticed the huge shadow above his head. Mountain god. His pupils were shaking as he looked at the huge pyramid above his head and the smiling Shenjian. From today on, this pyramid will be on your side. You can find a place to place it. Say it. Shenjian threw it down. Mountain god. His mouth opened slightly. Want to cry but no tears. No. Sir, I am very happy that you think highly of me, but this 100-meter pyramid is beyond my current capabilities. What else did he want to say? But Shenjian has disappeared. Immediately. He could only use the power of the mountains to move the pyramid bit by bit, preparing to move it to an open place. He was a mountain god who was enshrined after his death. He died only a year ago, so he naturally knew about the pyramids. But he didn't expect that Shenjian would actually carry the pyramid back. Why? I don't know where the unlucky guy suffered the disaster. Never mind. It has nothing to do with him. He does not produce pyramids, he is just a transporter of pyramids. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyu Buletin Chigua. Chapter 610. Hades. Shenjian immediately arrived at the 6 paths of reincarnation. He gained a lot from this trip to the west. Not only did he completely meet the requirements for unlocking the beast realm, but he also expanded the number of underworld ghosts to more than 10,000. With these 10,000 yinzei, the underworld can take Ziping province as the center and cover Handong province and the adjacent Nanhai province. The land of 3 provinces, this is the limit of the territory that the underworld can control now. Any further away will be beyond our reach and unable to provide timely support. According to this trend, it will only be a year or 2 before he completely covers the eastern continent. At that time, the underworld will be free to officially expand its jurisdiction to the western continent, and eventually cover the entire world. And this time will not exceed 5 years. Certainly. This refers to a normal development trend. If there are external forces, the development of the underworld can be even faster. This. You have to rely on Luo Fengtian. Think of this. Shenjian's eyes moved slightly. He turned his attention to the 6 paths of reincarnation in front of him. Tien Shen Dao, unlocked. Shura Dao, unlocked. The Way of the World, unlocked. Hell Path, unlocked. Beast Way, unlocked. Hungry Ghost Road, unlocked. Unlocking conditions, 50 wealthless ghosts. Really? After unlocking the animal realm, the last of the 3 evil realms, the Hungry Ghost realm, also has unlocking conditions. Moneyless ghosts are also commonly known as hungry ghosts. In layman's terms, they are ghosts who have no good fortune. This type of ghost may not be evil ghosts, but it also belongs to the category of fierce ghosts. Its type is close to the ghosts who fight each other in ghost towns. It is unable to store blessings and loses its fortune, but it does not do excessive evil. It is a very normal but not uncommon type of evil ghost. Shen Jian frowned slightly. He possesses King Qin Guang's clerical eye of hell and can easily judge whether a ghost has a blessing or not, but the future is that he must find this type of ghost. Otherwise, everything is in vain. This time the hungry ghost path may take a while. He felt a little pity. I thought I could unlock all the remaining 6 realms of reincarnation as quickly as possible and then focus on unlocking the human realm, but I didn't expect to encounter problems so quickly. Thinking. The system's cold beep sounded in his ears. Mission, rebuild the underworld. Stage 4, unlock any of the 6 paths of reincarnation, completed. Reward, Taishan King's Palace. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. There was a little excitement on his face. The 7th hall of the 10 halls of Yama, the Taishan King's Hall, is the easiest Yama hall to unlock for him so far. Nothing else. There are so many ghosts with the 10 evil karma in the real world that it took him less than 3 days to completely gather the unlocking conditions. Compared with the previous rewards for unlocking the 18 levels of hell, these 6 reincarnations simply gave him the status of the King of Hell. Think of this. Shen Jian opened the game panel. Player, King Yama. Level 58. Identity, King of Yama, King of Qinguang, King of Shijiang, Emperor of Song, King of Wuguan, King of Wheels, King of Biancheng, King of Mount Tai. Ability, the words of ghosts and gods, the evidence of Mount Tai. Looking at this luxurious attribute panel, even Shen Jian couldn't help but feel a little excited. Today, he is the master of 8 Yama halls. With the status of the 8 Hell Kings, even the legendary Ghost Emperor of the 5 Directions cannot compare to him in this aspect. The only person who could surpass him in terms of qualifications to control the underworld was the legendary Emperor Fengdu, the Yin Emperor of the underworld. And he is not far away from this stage. According to the model of unlocking one of the 6 paths of reincarnation, one can be rewarded with a Yama Palace. He only needs to completely unlock the 3 evil paths and add one of the 3 good paths to achieve the achievement of the 10 palaces of Yama. He officially took over the status of Emperor Fengdu and truly became the Lord of the Underworld and the Lord of the Underworld. Soon. Shen Jian understood the priestly abilities of King Taishan. A bit of surprise appeared in his eyes. Words of ghosts and gods, this is a passive ability that can make his words more convincing to the other party. The stronger the ability he displays, the easier it is for his words to make the other party have corresponding emotions. It sounds very tasteless. After all, he has always liked to convince others with his virtues, and it seems that no one has dared to resist him under his moral education. However, this priesthood is quite suitable for gaining favor. It can make his words appear more sincere, which is equivalent to being born with goodwill. The longer you get along, the faster your goodwill will improve. Shen Jian was thoughtful. I seem to have thought of some wonderful usage. He is narrow-minded. The priesthood of King Taishan is of great use. Another ability, the Taishan proof, is obviously related to the folklore of King Taishan. Rumor has it that after King Taishan died, his soul returned to Mount Tai, so he became the master of the seventh palace of the underworld. As for the certificate of Mount Tai, its ability is similar to the mountain god's magical power. It can control Mount Tai, one of the 5 mountains, and obtain the mountain-moving magical power that is far more powerful than the mountain god. It can also enter Mount Tai as a soul and control the authority of the earth. Shen Jian pondered for a moment. The mountain god's magical power of moving mountains has limitations. It must be integrated into the mountain itself in order to fully exert its magical power. The corresponding magical power can be obtained according to the size of the mountain and the luck of the mountain. A mountain god from a small hill may be worse than the black and white impermanent, bull-headed, and horse-faced men from the underworld. As powerful as the god of the 5 mountains, his divine power is stronger than that of a local city god, and Mount Tai is one of the 5 sacred mountains since ancient times. Controlling Mount Tai is equivalent to having an additional priesthood of at least the 5th grade god level. Very strong. Shen Jian gave his judgment. King Taishan's clerical ability is not strong, but his derivative ability is not weaker than that of any other king of hell. In this case, he could eliminate it by using the magical power of the mountain god that he had imprinted with the priesthood of Chakravartin. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian returns to the real world. Cleopatra has arrived at the city god's temple. Shen Jian glanced away. This pharaoh of the pyramid civilization has healthy wheat-colored skin, which gives people a wild beauty. Coupled with her own pharaoh temperament and exotic tiara, gold and silver jewelry, it gives him a unique look. A very special feeling. Especially the other party's supernatural powers made Shen Jian pay attention. I don't know if this summoned past and future body can stay for a while. Shen Jian thought secretly in his heart. Human, you promised me to open the door to the horror world for me. I only need to return to the horror world and find a way to return to my world. When the time comes, I can let you go too. Cleopatra spoke, her blue eyes flashing. She regretted following him. This supernatural place created by human beings obviously did not have very strong foundations, but the underworld place it created made her feel completely threatened. She secretly assessed that unless she summoned the past and future body, she would not be able to do it. Break the underworld and escape back to the real world. Hear this. Shen Jian thought for a while. Words of ghosts and gods loaded. Without blushing or beating, he opened his mouth and said, "We have reached an agreement, do you think I will harm you? From the moment I saw you, I knew that I would never do anything to you in this life." Cleopatra? She was stunned for a moment. Then he lowered his head, and his heart suddenly twitched. Could this human being treat her? But isn't he human? Can humans also fall in love with ghosts at first sight? Then why didn't you choose to lift the veil? Because I don't think I'm qualified. You're so beautiful that I don't dare to disturb you. I think it's enough to be able to reach an agreement like this and stand with you. Shen Jian's expression remained unchanged. Just keep opening your mouth. His eyes became deep, and there was a hint of inferiority in his words. After listening, Cleopatra's wheat-colored cheeks showed a bit of shame. Under such circumstances, being confessed so implicitly by a human being, even as a pharaoh, she felt a little at a loss. Listening to Shen Jian's words, she felt the inferiority complex in Shen Jian's tone, and subconsciously comforted her. Actually, you are already very powerful. Since I came, I have never seen a human being stronger than you. Even if I use my supernatural powers, I will not be able to do anything. It's not necessarily your opponent, you can be more confident. And it's not that the pharaoh cannot live without a partner, it's just more troublesome. If you are willing, we can actually. Speaking of which, Cleopatra jerked. Then he hurriedly ignored the topic. In short, you can be more confident. I believe that no woman wants her man to feel inferior and weak. Okay, you open the permissions. This is my token. I will contact you once I return to the Buddhist kingdom. Finished. Cleopatra left in a hurry. The Sphinx wanted to stay, but was pulled in by a hand. Crying, he was forced to separate from the second master he recognized. Until Cleopatra left, Shen Jian's face showed a bit of a smile. The words of ghosts and gods worked better than he imagined. Every word he says will make the other party subconsciously convinced. If he also shows his strength or various characteristics during this period, this kind of convincing will be strengthened. If you use this clerical ability to become a priest, you may not be able to gather a large number of believers in a short time. If it is used for pyramid schemes, it can be punished or tortured, but not imprisoned. Even a ghost of Cleopatra's level would be upset because of his baseless words. Before Cleopatra left, he clearly saw that the female ghost's favor with him had soared to 45. Directly increased by 10 points. Tarzan King, YYDS. Shen Jian's lips curled up. I suppressed some blasphemous thoughts. Turning to King Guo's authority. He wanted to see where the remaining 2 dragon spirits were. Collect early and enjoy early. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Yubuletin Chi Gua. Chapter 611. King Shi City Gods Hall. Shen Jian opened the game panel and looked at the hidden plot missions. The hidden plot mission The Wrath of the Evernight King requires him to collect one of Luo Fengtian's Zhoujuanian Palace, which is the administrative authority of the Qing Kingdom. These permissions are divided into 9 for some reason. The Qing Emperor intercepted 1. He collected 5. Among the remaining 3, Guanghui ghosts and gods know a clue about one of them, which is suspected to be located in the 5th place of Luo Fengtian, called Mingchen Nai Violation Wuchen Tiangong. It is a dangerous and extremely sinister place that is more chaotic than the fighting in the Ghost City. As for the remaining 2, he has no clues so far. But after collecting 5 Dragon Chi and occupying half of the authority of Zhoujuyantian Palace, he unlocked the authority to search for clues of Dragon Chi every other month. And he was planning to use this authority. Search. Shen Jian whispered. It has been detected that the player has used King Guo's authority and scanning has started. Scanning. Scan completed. Location, Entertainment City. See this. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. The City of Entertainment, isn't this the location of the 3rd Luo Fengtian and Taisha Liangshi Zongtian Palace that he is familiar with? He learned about this from the mouth of the fairy ghosts and gods. Only. Shen Jian frowned slightly. Except for a few ghosts and gods, probably no one knows where the deep ghost realm is located. Even if they know, it is most likely related to Luo Fengtian. In other words, even if he knew that there was a dragon spirit located in the entertainment city, he had no way to enter this deep ghost realm. Unless, like entering Olympus, he can steal the dungeon tokens from players, it will undoubtedly be a dream to enter the entertainment city. Think of this. Shen Jian clicked his tongue. The horror game Xiao Baichi hid Luo Fengtian's location so deeply. Isn't it just to prevent the underworld from reviving and snatch these underworld properties back? Think about it. Shen Jian called to fairy ghosts and gods. Owner. The fairy ghost shrouded in black mist appeared and said respectfully. By now, he had completely given up the idea of escaping. I am willing to row a boat on the Wangchuan River in the underworld, act as a ferryman, and do odd jobs. No way. There is a saying among humans, what should you do if life treats you badly and you have no power to resist? Damn it, of course it is enjoyment. This is the mentality of ferrying ghosts and gods now. Do you know how to get back? Shen Jian asked. He wanted to know if there was any other way to enter this deep ghost realm. The fairy ghost gave a decisive answer, no, I am an evil god marked by the horror game. I cannot leave the deep ghost realm at all. If the horror game had not opened the passage to the human world, I would not have been able to come. Naturally, There's no chance I'd go back unless horror games took me there. Hear this. Shen Jian was a little disappointed. So how much do you know about the City of Entertainment? I am collecting one of Luo Fengtian's permissions. Some of them have landed where you are. What clues do you know? The fairy ghost was silent for a few moments. Master, do you have any characteristics? Does good luck count? Good luck, the fairy ghost was stunned. That's too many. This time, it was Shen Jian's turn to be slightly startled. What's the point? Master, you don't know something. The entertainment city where I am located is ruled by a ghost and god named Wenqi. She is a legendary world-destroying ghost and god. The super-large supernatural place she created covers almost the entire city. Fengtian. Ferrying ghosts and gods explained. And her city of entertainment is made up of movies after movies. Each movie is a new supernatural world. Once the movie meets expectations, the movie world will materialize and become a terrifying place. A magical place. And the so-called protagonists in these movies are all very lucky and are almost guaranteed to become ghosts and gods. There was a time when all the ghosts in the entertainment city hoped to become the protagonists of the movie and soar to the sky. Hear this. Shen Jian's heart was shocked. World-weary ghosts and gods. In the third place, Luo Fengtian, the city lord of the entertainment city, is actually her? He was no stranger to this ghost and god. When the real world came to the second game copy, the supernatural cinema, he entered it and broke into one of the movie scenes. He packed up all the actors in the movie and took them away. He also took away all the staff of the supernatural cinema. The copy was destroyed. As a result, he was marked by ghosts and gods again. And the name of this ghost and god is exactly World-Weary. The World-Weary ghost is the source ghost behind the supernatural cinema. Shen Jian was overjoyed. He opened the game panel. All the way down. Special status, the curiosity of world-weary ghosts and gods. Click on the status bar. A line of scarlet warning words appeared. Warn. Warn. The player is currently marked by the ghost and god. If he steps into the cinema, the relevant copy will be automatically opened. Note, players cannot refuse. This is it. Shen Jian's eyes lit up. After being marked, he thought the negative impact was a bit useless, but he didn't expect that this would be an opportunity for him to enter the deep ghost realm. There is no supernatural cinema in the real world. Once the copy is opened, he will be directly transported to the deep ghost realm, which is the city of entertainment. Thoughts are spinning. Shen Jian suppressed his racing thoughts. After pondering for a while, he continued to ask, each of the protagonists can achieve ghosts and gods. Do you think these protagonists have strong luck? For this, Shen Jian was a little confused. He had also broken into the scene of one of the movies, but according to his observation, the male protagonist in the movie seemed to be at the level of a red-coated ghost. It would be difficult to advance to the level of ghost. Of course not. Only the protagonists of large-scale movies can do this. These large-scale movies rarely appear. Every time they appear, we can only see them after the film is completed. I suspect that the world-weary madman has trapped a large number of evil ghosts, forming a series of monsters. The supernatural world intervened in the lives of these protagonists through special methods, and this is how these ghosts and gods were artificially created. After talking about ferrying ghosts and gods, a movie appeared in Shen Jian's mind, The Truman Show. Build a huge ecologically self-contained studio, and then put a newborn baby into it, telling him that the world he lives in is so big, and let him grow up under the witness and interference of people around the world. The misanthropic movie is similar to The Truman Show. But what she wants is not to observe a person's life, but to create ghosts and gods. Some of the world-weary ghosts and gods may have also used dragon energy to put it into the body of the protagonist, making him advance to the level of ghosts and gods between coincidences and non-coincidences, until the dungeon materialized, and a 5-star dungeon with ghosts and gods appearing out of thin air. Enhance the heritage of the entertainment city. Hiss. Shen Jian took a breath of cold air. This world-weary ghost knows how to play. And it's quite fun to play. The degree of perversion is even greater than that of the glorious ghosts and gods who like to eavesdrop on corners. Got this. Shen Jian finally got to know the city of entertainment. One of the dragon spirits lost by the Qing kingdom was undoubtedly controlled by world-weary ghosts and gods. Think of this. Shen Jian's eyes narrowed slightly. From the first place, Luo Fengtian Qingguo, he had already collected most of them. In the second place, Luo Fengtian Olympus, he collected half of it. And now, is this third place, Luo Fengtian, complete or in a split state? According to his current intelligence, the Buddhist kingdom where Cleopatra is located is a deep-level ghost realm that clearly has complete authority. However, judging from the generosity and strength of the world-weary ghosts and gods, there is a high chance that Luo Fengtian's authority in this third area is complete. Thinking. Shen Jian's expression gradually became excited. He had a hunch that this time, he was very likely to get Luo Fengtian's complete authority and unlock the human path, one of the 6 paths of reincarnation. By the way, there is also a one-stop recycling system. Also, see if you can unlock the Hungry Ghost Realm, one of the 3 evil realms. If possible, he will completely unlock the power of the 10 palaces of Yama. By then, the 10 kings of hell are added to the body. He will be the undisputed lord of the underworld. The more I think about it, Shen Jianyu became more and more excited. He planned to use a few days to write out the follow-up development plan of the underworld and resolve the impact of his westward journey. At the same time, Qingyu Mountain. Pyramid direction. When the shaking stops, a group of Freemasonry members headed by Nai Yun also successfully walked out of the pyramid. Looking at the deserted open space and lush woods around them, they felt confused. No. Where is this? Where is Brother Shen? He must have forgotten us. Nai Yun wanted to cry but had no tears. Taking out his mobile phone, the map showed that this place was Qingyu Mountain, Qingxi, Ziping Province. Qingxi. When they saw the name of the city, Nai Yun and Chu Jian both gleamed. They have not forgotten that Shen Jian is the person in charge of Qingxi. In other words, they did return to the Dragon Kingdom and came to the city where Brother Shen lived. They also expressed the importance of this matter. This is a city governed by immortal gods. Although Shen Jian disappeared after sending them back, they can take the initiative to search for gods. The world is too dangerous. The more I know the truth, the more desperate I become. Because of this, they knew that the only way to survive in this world where evil ghosts were resurrected was to follow Shen Jian. Soon, a group of Freemasons who found themselves back in the Dragon Kingdom eagerly descended the mountain. Each returned to their respective cities. At the foot of the mountain, Nai Yun took his sister Nai Yu and stayed in the city with Chu Jian. They looked at each other and saw the ambition in each other's eyes. They are looking for God. Trying to find traces of God in the city. Soon, they found a clue. Today's Qingxi is no longer the 4th-tier small city it once was. The country is peaceful and the people are living and working in peace and contentment, as if they are living in a world without evil ghosts. Even the most obtuse person knows that Qingxi is very special. Among these rumors, and news, Nai Yun quickly found related supernatural events. The city god appears. Traveling on a bad trip. The gate of hell appears. The underworld has arrived. King Yamari appears. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shiyubuletin Chigwa. Chapter 612. The city god appears. Traveling on a bad trip. The gate of hell appears. The underworld has come. King Yamari appears. Seeing the many supernatural events happening in Kingshi, they became more and more frightened. Especially Nayun, whose pupils shrank sharply. While he was trapped in Gallifrey for more than a year, the changes in Dragon Kingdom were so obvious, and the situation seemed worse than that of the Western continent. Even in cities with immortals and gods in charge, supernatural events of all sizes have broken out in the past year or so. And now, these supernatural events have disappeared. The source points directly to the legendary underworld and the local city god of Kingshi. Miss Chu, do you understand these? Na Yun asked curiously. Chu Qian shook her head with regret and said, I came across similar statements when I was browsing the forum, but my province is too far away from Kingshi. I don't pay too much attention to these, and I don't think they are true. There was deep bitterness in her tone. She realized only in hindsight that because it was located in a first-tier city, these places were likely to have a large number of ghost masters, and since she lived in a high-end community, the possibility of being haunted was even lower. Because of this, she was very lucky to have never encountered any supernatural events. She instinctively believed that things like the underworld and the city god's temple were feudal superstitions. Thinking about it now, she was really lucky. Otherwise, once she is involved in a supernatural incident, there is no chance of her surviving. In this way, according to our guess, Brother Shen should have some connection with the legendary underworld, and is suspected to be the legendary Lord of Hell. Then let's go to the most famous city god's temple in Qing City. There is a high probability that we can find clues there. No hesitation. The three of them arrived at the popular Chenghuang Temple. After queuing for several hours, we finally entered the Chenghuang Temple. They came to the city god's temple. The layout here is no different from ordinary temples. It's just that the enshrined golden statue of Buddha was replaced by a stone statue of the city god. They looked. The appearance of the stone statue of the city god is very vague. It clearly looked like a person, but they couldn't see it clearly. It seemed like something was missing, preventing them from seeing the true face of the city god. The three of them bowed devoutly. No clues were found, so he had no choice but to retreat. Brother, are you sure that Brother Shen has something to do with this place? We already have the underworld, what if there is heaven? I think Brother Shen is more like the legendary Nine Heavens Ying Yuan Thunder Universal Transformation Heavenly Lord. Na Yu muttered. Na Yun was also troubled for a while, looking for immortals, but immortals are not so easy to find. However, just the next second, Na Yun's pupils shrank sharply. With a casual glance from the corner of his eye, the stone statue of the city god, whose true face could not be clearly seen, suddenly revealed its true appearance in front of him. His appearance was clearly that of Shen Jian he was familiar with. And he noticed that the eyes of the city god statue moved. Set your eyes on him. But in just a moment, this abnormal situation disappeared. When I looked at it again, the stone statue of the city god returned to its original appearance. But he was sure that he was not wrong. The immortals are here. Soon. A whirlpool suddenly emerged. In the vortex, an old man came out. Wearing red and black ancient official uniforms, he has a warm smile. It was none other than the first city god heir accepted by Shen Jian and the future Kingshi city god, Wei Wuliang. Master Yan has an order, promising you to enter the underworld as officials. You can walk in the world of the sun, and your soul can enter the underworld, and you can act as agents of the underworld for the living people in the underworld. Are you willing? Hear this. The three of them were in a daze for a while. Walking in the Yang world, the soul enters the nether world and becomes a living person. This is a path they never envisioned. They just want to get close to Shenjian, no matter how much, they don't dare to think about it. In fact, even if they were close, they felt that they were overestimating their abilities. After all, he was an immortal god who transcended the human level and possessed supreme power. In ancient dynasties, when gods and goddesses came, they had to be welcomed by the whole country, and the emperor had to salute and be willing to be in a lower position. And they are just a group of ordinary people. Their only connection with Shenjian is that they have followed each other for a period of time. This kind of relationship is very shallow. Even if Shenjian doesn't see them, they have nothing to say. And now, however, Shenjian asked them to work as shady agents in the underworld. It is still possible to maintain the identity of a living person, which is undoubtedly pie in the sky. It made them dizzy. We are willing to. They agreed. A rush of excitement. Searching for immortals, they found them and obtained immortality. The other side. Shenjian withdrew his gaze. There was some thought on his face. It was time for him to give up his position as the Qingxi city god. In the past, the temporary appointment was because the underworld team was not enough and the heir did not understand the responsibilities of the city god, but now he does not need to worry. With the guidance of Zhangzhong, the old city god from the mythical period, other city gods can take office in a short time. And, although he is in charge of the position of Qing city god, the actual tasks are still handled by Wei Wuliang and the ghost teacher. To say that he is a hands-off boss is to overestimate him. Think of this. Shenjian had an idea. The next 3 days, Shenjian used the supernatural power of ferrying ghosts and gods to transform all the slave ghosts in the pyramid copy into yinze. The number of yinze soared to more than 10,000. With a share of 150 yinze from a city, they were sent to the neighboring Handong province and Bihai province. To this, the leaders of the two major provinces were naturally delighted. In particular, Zhang Ziping, the city manager of Handong province, greeted him with a warm welcome. His ancestor was the city god of the underworld, and his life was saved by the Lord of Hell. The crisis in Handong province was also resolved by the underworld, and he himself would enter the underworld as an official after his death and become the leader of the Handong province. The city god. It can be said. He is from the underworld faction. Naturally, he didn't have any worries about the coming of Yin Sha. Moreover, he had already ordered people to use the province's resources to build new Chenghuang temples in major cities, and was waiting for the underworld to incorporate Handong province into its jurisdiction. This kind of cooperation also allowed the underworld to initially take over Handong province and the supernatural events in Handong province in just a short time, which caused a bit of a fuss. As for Bihai province, the takeover intensity is average. If this trend develops, it will be fully taken over within a month or two. By then, the underworld will truly own the land of 3 provinces. In this way, it will radiate across the country, and the expansion speed will only get faster and faster. It seems that it is not far away from the time when the Yangshi will be fully descended and the Yangshi will no longer be threatened by evil ghosts. Brother Shenjian was thoughtful. Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva can make a great vow that until hell is empty, I will never become a Buddha. He may also try to make a vow that the world will never be threatened by evil spirits. Such a grand ambition should allow him to make a wish to heaven and earth. Thoughts are spinning. Shenjian disappeared into the city god's hall. When it reappears, he has appeared in a haunted movie theater. He only needs to control the general direction of the development of the underworld, and for the rest, the city god, who has his own jurisdiction, will completely implement the orders. In this regard, he is very relieved. Next, it's time for him to deal with Luo Fengtian. Luo Feng Liuxian is the inheritance of the underworld. As the current lord of the underworld and the ruler of the underworld, he will naturally not let Luo Fengtian fall into the hands of the thriller game. This is what he must take back. And after so many years of development, there are a large number of aborigines living in Luo Fengtian. As long as they can be completely recovered, Luo Fengtian will become the cradle of cultivating Yingke in the underworld. This is also a big deal. It is enough to affect the future planning of the underworld. Think of this. Shen Jian walked straight into the cinema. Soon, a row of scarlet panels emerged. It has been detected that the player has entered the realm marked by world-weary ghosts and gods, and the effect has been activated. Players will automatically enter the relevant copy. This operation cannot be cancelled. Relevant supernatural places have been anchored. Entering. The scarlet panel fell. Everything in Shen Jian's eyes kept changing. Open your eyes again. He was already in one of the cinema halls. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. A quick glance. I have a clear understanding in my heart. It seems that this is not a copy yet. Rather, it is a place of transition. Just like when he first entered the copy of Eternal Night Kingdom, but was forcibly detained by the Queen of Eternal Night. This is the case in this movie exhibition hall. The player has entered the Entertainment City Play Hall number 3. Please wait. Shen Jian glanced at it. There was a bit of a weird smile on his face. Sure enough, he entered the third place, Luo Fengtian. How wonderful! Just thinking about it. In the movie exhibition hall, players are constantly being teleported in. The levels of these players vary from good to bad. Available from level 20 to level 50. And not only were there people from the Dragon Kingdom, Shen Jian also saw several white and black players. A flash of surprise flashed in his eyes. This supernatural cinema of world-weary ghosts and gods has such a wide range of effects. But think about it. As long as there is a supernatural cinema, there is no way to escape the lock of world-weary ghosts and gods. And such supernatural places are probably all over the 12 districts of the horror world. It is normal to have players from other regions. Gao, Jaoran. At this time, a voice caught Shen Jian's attention. Shen Jian took a look. He was a middle-aged man in a suit and leather suit with a slight belly. It's really you, master. This is the third time we've met. The middle-aged man looked ecstatic and came to Shen Jian to brush his face. Shen Jian raised his eyebrows. I remembered. If he remembered correctly, this person's name was Qi Shan. The first time they met was in Linhai City's copy of reality, the supernatural cinema. When he destroyed the copy, he also saved these people. Certainly. If it were just that, his impression wouldn't be so deep. What really made him remember this person was the task he gave to Mr. Qi, which was to build the city god's temple in Linhai City. That's right. The Cheng Huang temple where Ghost's sister-in-law lives was built by this man. Because of this incident, the other party was trapped in another supernatural incident. That time, a ghost village appeared in Linhai City. The evil ghosts in it had the ability to launch a ghost tide and destroy Linhai City. He went to solve the problem and met Mr. Qi for the second time. And now, it is indeed the third time. Considering that the other party became a horror game player in a supernatural cinema, the possibility of being sent to the entertainment city is indeed very high. Shen Jian was thoughtful. I see. There are other ways to enter entertainment city besides being tagged. And the method is very simple. That is to purchase a copy invitation ticket. Find a player who can enter the entertainment city. It's a pity that he doesn't know this bit of information. But the result is the same. He still entered the third place, Luo Fengtian. That's enough. The other side. Hearing the excited voice of the middle-aged man, other players who entered the movie exhibition hall also looked over. After seeing Shen Jian's level of 58, there is only one thought left in these players' minds. It's over. Come in and have fun. Something strange is coming? Fortunately, I am the king of hell of the 10th palace. Author, Shi Buletin Chigwa. Chapter 613. Entertainment City in the number 3 screening room. The eyes of all players are focused on Shenji Unjian. Especially when they saw the opponent's game level of 58, their pupils shrank suddenly. Died young. This time the copy actually paid off. Here comes a golden legend level veteran player. This means that the difficulty of this copy will exceed their expectations. Probably 4 stars or more. Think of this. Many people had expressions of horror on their faces. They began to form separate groups, looking for allies, and there was a lot of discussion. The other side. Shen Jian also observed Mr. Qi in front of him. The other party is a rich man in the real world, with assets of over 100 million, otherwise there would be no way to help him build a city god temple. The game level is as high as level 32. This surprised Shen Jian. He thought about it. From the time the copy of the supernatural cinema appeared in the real world to now, more than half a year has passed. According to the rule that if you clear the horror game once, you can take a 10-day break, and if you clear it 3 times, you can apply for a 6-month extension. Even if Mr. Qi doesn't even at level 10, he can understand. However, the reality is that the opponent has reached the limit of Samsung players. It's just that if you don't control the ghost puzzle, you are not a ghost controller. To reach this level, unless the other party is like him, after clearing the copy once, the countdown will be eliminated in a short period of time and continue to enter the game copy. However, he didn't think any human would dare to do this. Because this is courting death. No matter how powerful the supernatural props are, they cannot afford such squandering. He looked slightly surprised and asked directly. Hear this. Qi Shan seemed to have remembered some sad experience and was about to cry without tears. Master, I don't want to be like this, but I understand that the opening time of my thriller game is different from that of normal players. The thriller game reminds us that we are users of Entertainment City, and Entertainment City has the authority to open it at any time. Copy, let's get into it. 3 days, every 3 days, we will be forced to enter a movie, replacing various movie characters, completing our due plot tasks. Often, shortly after the last movie is completed, we will receive notice about the next movie. Master, we have been going through this for more than half a year. Do you know how I have lived for more than half a year? To sum up, it is miserable. Qi Shan cried. He accused the city of entertainment of being impersonal and knowing how to exploit its employees even better than when he was the boss. A complete black factory. Hear this. Shen Jian clicked his tongue slightly. It's dark enough. No thriller game would dare to squeeze players like this. Compared with the horror game mode, the replica version of Entertainment City does have the meaning of a black intermediary. And the world-weary ghost and god can actually steal people from the horror game and completely divide the players into the Entertainment City's lineup. This makes him even more convinced that the world-weary ghost and god probably controls the complete authority of Luo Fengtian. Think of this. The smile on Shen Jian's face became even stronger. How many movies have you been in? There are about 21 games, Qi Shan explained. In the beginning, the opening time of the dungeon was not that frequent, but as we entered more and more movie worlds, the opening speed became faster and faster. Now, it has become once every 3 days, and before I can take a breath, I am sent in again. Shen Jian was very interested. He didn't think Mr. Qi had the strength to survive 21 dungeons safely. After all, the other party had nothing but an ordinary supernatural prop. With such a foundation, I am afraid that it is not even as good as some 2-star players. If you enter the Samsung copy, there is basically no possibility of survival. Think about it. Shen Jian asked, tell me about this copy of the movie. Master, have you never participated? Qi Shan was stunned. No, Shen Jian shook his head. Hear this. The surrounding players cast surprised glances and a hint of schadenfreude. It was as if he felt that it was his first time to participate in a movie dungeon, and it didn't matter how high his level was. Qi Shan hurriedly said, "Master, I don't know something. The dungeon of this entertainment city is different from the ordinary thriller game dungeon. No matter how many stars it is, the movie is in the role-playing streaming mode. In other words, once we enter the movie world, our identity is fixed. Players need to act out this role and complete their own fixed plot to meet the clearance standards. However, there is a lag in such clearance. Once the movie is released and the guests watching feel that your performance is too bad, they can vote to eliminate the player with the worst acting skills and the one who least fits the character. The eliminated player will be directly eliminated. Die. In other words, every time a copy is opened, it means that a player will die. Speaking of which, Qi Shan's face also showed a bit more solemnity. He knew that Shen Jian was very extraordinary. When he was trapped in the supernatural cinema, Shijiakan, he demonstrated his ability to crush red-clad ghosts. This strength was worthy of a level 58 player. But when entering the movie copy, strength is no longer the most important thing. If you can't live up to your role, let alone level 58, even a level 65 star player will die. Once upon a time, a level 56 player entered the entertainment city, but because he did not understand the rules of the movie copy, he did things that violated the plot and character settings, and because the derivative plot he created was not exciting enough, he was criticized by customers. The supporting character was scolded for extending the duration of the movie and was directly thrown to death. Not even the slightest ability to resist. After listening, Shen Jian was thoughtful. What Qi Shan said was basically what he guessed. This so-called copy of the movie is indeed the Truman Show. Supporting characters can choose to actively create derivative plots to reasonably improve their strength, but if the plot fails to meet expectations, they will become the weakest and be directly thrown to death by customers. On the contrary, they only need to play their roles well in the movie and they can pass the level without any injuries. No wonder Qi Shan is already level 32, but his background is not even as good as a 2-star player. This is how the level of the Dare to Love game is improved. Not creating a derivative plot means that there is not much risk, but what is created is just a high-level monster with no corresponding supernatural power. The secret is revealed at the first touch. If things go on like this, as the movie's star rating gets higher and higher, the probability of death becomes greater, and there is no room for resistance. Shen Jian quickly understood the drawbacks. Shaked his head. Everything in these copies of the movie is fake. Soon, Shen Jian asked the key question. Qi Shan pondered, below 3-star, everything is basically fake. The people in the movie also know that they are just actors, but above 3-star, everything is real. What kind of movie can be created depends on how the players who enter the movie change. Of course, the safest thing is to do nothing and let the movie develop on its own. During the conversation, a row of scarlet panels emerged. It is detected that all players have arrived and the copy is about to enter. An invasion by a high-level player was detected and the copy was changed. The movie begins to be reselected. Selected, Sequence 1 movie scene. Movie title, The School Beauty's Personal Bodyguard. Countdown, 360 seconds. See this. Players in the entire screening room exploded. My scalp felt numb. I'll show you, Uncle, Sequence 1, a 5-star movie. It's over, it's over. I knew that there was a high-level player among us, and the difficulty of the dungeon would definitely increase. But you increased it so unreasonably. Why is it only 5 stars? Don't panic, don't panic. I've seen the introduction to this movie. The protagonist here is at the level of Long Aotian and will definitely become a ghost. We just need to join the protagonist's lineup and win. Your uncle is said to be the protagonist. If you don't have any special skills, the protagonist will let you join? I'm afraid I won't kill you on the spot. Hey, 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 don't forget, 5-star movies all have villains. If the special ones become the villain lineup, it will be over. All the players, you say something to me. His expression became frightened. Shen Jian saw it. The interest in his eyes became even stronger. He looked at Qi Shen and asked with interest, is there anything wrong with this copy? The problem is huge. These 5-star dungeons are all self-derived plots. Except for the final ending where the protagonist defeats the evil villain and achieves the achievement of ghosts and gods, everything else can be changed. Players have great autonomy. But correspondingly, the risk has also become greater. Master, listen to me. After entering the movie copy, join the protagonist's force. As long as you are attracted by the protagonist and join the protagonist's lineup, we can win all the way. Because according to the trailer of the movie, the protagonist is the one who wins in the end, and is promoted to a ghost and god, and breaks away from the original world. This is a thick thigh. If you hug it, even if you get a copy, you will have a ghost and god as your backer. Qi Shen explained hurriedly. Master, after entering the movie copy, all of us will be separated. Remember to contact us when the time comes. Shen Jian's eyes moved slightly as he listened. He heard from Fairy Ghost and God that the protagonists of large-scale movies are all characters who must become ghosts and gods. After being promoted to ghosts and gods, the movie world will be realized, and they will successfully come to the entertainment city and become a new large-scale supernatural place. The protagonist of this movie copy seems to be like this. In other words, the opponent most likely has dragon energy in him. Think of this. Shen Jian became more and more excited. At this time, countdown reaches 0. The scarlet panel reappeared. Countdown, midnight. The movie sequence has been force selected for the player. This copy cannot be cancelled. Entering. Entered.